Hey everybody, welcome to Seattle Refined and our special TGIF edition. I'm GAARD SWANSON. Well, this weekend, tennis star Roger Federer will play his first ever match right here in Seattle. It's an exhibition match to support children's education in Africa. And here to cover the whole darn thing for the Tennis Channel is the legend herself, Mary CARILLO. Mary, thank you so much for having us.
Pleasure to be here, GAARD. Thank you very much.
Well, first of all, let's just get your travel schedule down.
You don't want to hear.
You were like on the other side of the globe like 24 hours ago.
This is my third country in 24 hours, yes.
Oh,
I was in Paris shooting features for the upcoming French Open, which Roger Federer may or may not play. He'll decide in the coming weeks.
Right.
And then we stopped in London, and now I'm here in Seattle. And I love it here. I spent a lot of time in Seattle. I think it's wonderful.
When was the last time you were here?
I was in Seattle for a lot of last year because I was working on I was co-producing a PBS documentary, an American Experience documentary based on the book, The Boys in the Boat. Daniel James Brown, one of my all-time favorite people.
Wow,
so I got to spend
everybody
a lot of
knows
time.
about that book here. That was a big one.
Yeah.
Bestseller, I think.
Oh,
yeah,
you bet.
all over the top.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's talk a little about Roger Federer and what he's doing and what you're doing in town, because this is a big charity event.
Yeah, it's terrific. It's a March for Africa for this man here at the age of 35, he'll be 36 in August, has just continued to become more and more incandescent with age, winning the Australian Open. He then went on to win 2 more big tournaments at Indian Wells and in Miami. He has won his 18th major. This is a guy who took off half a year in 2016, and he has come back in such a big way. That was him beating Rafa Nadal, his longtime rival. Look at him. He still has the joy, GAARD, of,
and he can get off the ground.
Of a young boy. Oh, it's a remarkable, remarkable story. And he is just on and off the court. I don't know that I've ever met anyone, any professional athlete more graceful than Roger Federer.
And then the big event, you have, he and Bill Gates are going to team up to play doubles, and then he's playing a big singles match, right?
Correct. He's playing against John Isner, who's got one of the biggest serves in tennis history.
Yeah.
It's, again, Roger spends so much of his time off the court just giving back. Giving back. He has raised so much money and so much awareness. So he is, again, I've never met a professional athlete quite like Roger.
All right, we have about a minute, and I got a couple questions left for you. So tell me about
what do you want to know?
I want to know about the state of tennis right now. We have the Tennis Channel, Sinclair does.
Yes.
So where are we right now in the state of tennis?
This year has started off incredibly well. Again, Roger winning, Serena Williams winning her 23rd major, passing Steffi Graf. Now she's going to be having a baby, so she's taking off the rest of the season. But here she is beating her older sister, Venus Williams, who, again, turns 37 this year, continues to impress.
It's incredible.
It is incredible. And Serena is saying that she will absolutely be back. And, in fact, she says that she is so very much impressed and aware of the fact that Venus still plays world-class tennis, that Roger, who missed so much time last year, has come back in a big way. Victoria Azarenka, who has also had a baby, won a 2-time Grand Slam champion, has come back. They're good friends, so she's drawing inspiration from Vika Azarenka as well. Maria Sharapova is back.
She's back.
In the semifinals of her first tournament back in 15 months, GAARD, and in a big way. Her serve is looking big. She's going for her shots. The suspension she had, the doping suspension, you would think it would have, maybe she'd have to kick off a little bit of rust.
No, she looks good, doesn't she?
So the state of tennis right now could not be more interesting.
You know what, we're out of time. Can you believe it?
I'll come back anytime you want.
Come back in an hour. I know you got to go interview Roger Federer in a couple minutes, don't you?
Yes.
In about 45 minutes. Yeah, really, Mary, appreciate your time.
Anytime, pleasure.
You were like the queen of tennis, and you took the time to come be right here on our show.
I'm happy to come back.
Thank you so much, and have fun this weekend, too.
I will.
All right. Well, keep an eye on SeattleRefined.com and watch Como News throughout the weekend for complete coverage of tomorrow's match. It's going to be a good one. All right, starting on Monday, we have a huge week in store. It's Jeopardy week right here on Seattle Refined. We recently went down to Los Angeles and got an exclusive behind-the-scenes tour of the iconic game show. Here's a sneak peek. Hey, not many people get to do this. I'm going to take you behind the scenes of Jeopardy. Come with me. This is really sweet stuff.
This is Jeopardy!
Your show in Seattle is just a huge hit, and it just continues to go and go and go.
It says a lot about the quality of our program and the quality of the people in Seattle and the intelligence of the people in Seattle. They appreciate it.
I'll deal with two of the questions first. I shaved my mustache on a whim many years ago, and I have no plans to grow it back. And I have no ill feelings toward Sean Connery.
You've been doing this for so long. I mean, it's still thrilling for you, isn't it?
Oh, it is, absolutely. I started with Alex 34 years ago. This is our 34th season. We're the only two left from the original crew.
Really?
As a matter of fact, yeah. And it's fun. It's always new material, always new contestants, always new audiences, every day.
Wow. This feels huge. Now, if you're at home watching on television, you don't get this feeling. This is a monster set. All right, as official, I'm actually going to sign in to play Jeopardy. All right, you can watch more from our Jeopardy visit all next week right here on Refined. We go in depth with Alex Trebek and so much more. And let me just tell you, this guy is incredible. He is as funny as he is when he's on camera, but oh man, he is just incredible. We really do give you a backstage pass, so that's coming up again starting on Monday. All right, calling all bookworms, you probably already know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway, right? Tomorrow is Independent Bookstore Day around Seattle. 23 local bookstores will be participating in special author appearances and events. If you visit 3 or more bookstores, you'll be eligible to win some prizes. You can find the complete list of bookstores on our website, SeattleRefined.com. So happy reading, everybody. Coming up on Seattle Refined now, award-winning opera costumes created by a designer just as fabulous as her designs, plus the artist behind some of our favorite cartoons. But first, the countdown to Upstream Music Festival continues, and so do our exclusive artist profiles. Seattle Refined is coming back right after this.
Ready.
Welcome back to Refined in our special TGIF edition. Each week, we've been profiling local artists and speakers who will be featured by our sponsor, Upstream Music Festival, in just a couple of weeks. Can you believe it? Well, this week, we're featuring one of the keynote speakers, Portia Sabin. We caught up with her at KEXP, where she was on the air talking about what else? Upstream. Portia Sabin is one of the most influential people in the Northwest music industry. In 2006, she took over the reins of the legendary punk rock label Kill Rock Stars. She's been involved in the leadership of many music organizations, including the American Association of Independent Music, the Recording Academy, and the Rock and Roll Camp for Girls. And she currently hosts a radio show and podcast about the music business called The Future of What. But it all started back in the 90s when Portia played in a variety of punk bands.
I started as a drummer. My first, well, I don't even want to say how long ago. I've been a drummer for a long time. I played in bands for a long time, and I was lucky enough to, my band got signed. We were from New York City. We had a record deal with a small label. We got to tour the country, make a couple records. I took one drum lesson, and after that it was just me playing. And I love that. I mean, I think my punk is my heart, right? So I'm like, that's the way it should be. You should just do it. If you think like you want to do it, just do it. And then when that band ended, I decided to go into management because I wanted to take the small amount of information that I'd gotten and help my other friends, my musician friends.
Portia is currently the president of Kill Rock Stars, a record label that was a crucial part of the Northwest music explosion of the early 90s.
Kill Rock Stars was started in 1991 by Slim Moon, who was living in Olympia at the time, and he wanted to sort of document the scene that was happening there. He started by putting out some spoken word, 7 inches, by himself and some friends. And then he followed those 7 inches up with a compilation of his friends' bands, including his next-door neighbor, Kurt Cobain's band. And he put that 7-inch out, CD out, that compilation CD, in August of 1991. And Nevermind came out in September of 1991. And that compilation sold 25,000 copies and funded the label. And then he ended up going on to put out Bikini Kill and the local Olympia band Unwound, and then Bratmobile and the British band Huggy Bear. So very quickly, Kill Rock Stars became sort of the headquarters of the Riot Girl movement. And then in 1994, Slim signed Elliott Smith. And in 1997, he put out Either Or, which is to date Elliott Smith's best-selling album.
More recently, Kill Rock Stars has put out albums by bands like Horse Feathers, The Decemberists, and Gossip. Portia will bring her considerable experience to the Upstream Festival Summit, where she'll be one of the keynote speakers alongside Macklemore and Quincy Jones.
The Upstream Festival is being put on by Paul Allen, which is exciting. He's trying to celebrate Pacific Northwest music. I mean, we have a long tradition here I think the most interesting thing about the festival, though, is that they're doing this summit, and the summit is, to my understanding, sort of modeled on the way we do it at South by Southwest. So they're having 4 keynote speeches, and then they're having breakout sessions all day, so smaller groups of people can get together and discuss the issues together. And I think that's genius, because that's sort of the best part of South by Southwest, is meeting people and discussing the issues.
And for musicians trying to make it in the business, there's a lot to talk about.
My keynote is on data and analytics. I'm going to do more of a fireside chat style. So I'm going to have 2 or 3 other industry professionals, and we're going to discuss their experiences.
Portia is no stranger to talking about issues like these. Her podcast, The Future of What, tackles all aspects of making it in the music industry.
I think the takeaway for everybody in the music industry at this point is we have to be nimble. We have to be on top of it. We have to pay attention to the trends, and we have to be ready to change with the times.
Upstream Music Festival's event is just 2 weeks away. You can find information on tickets, artists, and a whole lot more on our website at SEATTLEREFINED.com/upstream. There's an old saying, love conquers all, right? And that's exactly the message behind a new opera taking the stage in Seattle next week. Next on Refined, we take you behind the scenes of the Magic Flute for a sneak peek at the fantastic costumes. Here at Seattle Refined, we never get tired of hearing from you. Like us on Facebook, tweet us your story ideas, or shoot us an email telling us what you want to see on the show. You can find our inbox at hello@SeattleRefined.com. Seattle Refined will be right back. Welcome back to Refined. I'm GAARD SWANSON. Well, when we get to Friday, we're usually ready for a break, and there's no better way to escape reality than with magical creatures, memorable characters, and marvelous music. You'll find all of that in Mozart's most beloved opera, The Magic Flute. It's opening next week at McCall Hall. And our sponsor, Seattle Opera, gave us a behind-the-scenes glimpse into the magic of the costume shop.
Opera is the most marvelous art form that plays on all your senses.
ZANDRA Rhodes is a world-famous designer who's dedicated her life to the pursuit of fashion.
Yes, I can be passionate.
With her hot pink hair, bright makeup, and oversized jewelry, her lifestyle is as dramatic as her designs. Her must-see creations have been worn by the rich and famous, from Princess Diana to Queen's frontman Freddie Mercury to Sarah Jessica Parker. And now she's lending her fabulous talents to Seattle Opera to bring one of Mozart's favorite works to life.
The Magic Flute is very magical. It's an opera by Mozart, and it has all these different characters in it. I originally designed the Magic Flute in San Diego, but was very excited because Seattle have taken it over and given it their own character, adding more exotic animals, including a lovely little bright pink emu, and things that fit in particularly with here. This is Papageno, the Birdman, and he has magical feathers at the back, which aren't really feathers. They're made with garden weed whacker because it's very strong. So if he rolls about, but he can also bend his feathers and be really exotic. And this is the lovely bird lady that he is going to fall in love with. And she has the all little flowers growing up and little birds on her shoulder, but she also has magical bird tail. But there's an undertone story of good versus evil. I divine the good versus evil with the color and the costumes, but then of course there's the magnificent music and the singing and what all the characters sort of get up to, and it's just a marvelous opera.
For Rhodes, creating stunning costumes like these doesn't happen overnight, and inspiration can come from anywhere.
Initially, when I've been asked to do an opera, it will take probably a year to start thinking about how it will go. I find some of it from my travel. I find some of it from visiting museums. Like yesterday, I went to the Seattle Museum, and it was so wonderful. I'm going to go back there and do some drawings.
Rhodes starts with a sketch. like this one of the Queen of the Night. And from there, it's up to Seattle Opera's costume crew to turn her vision into reality.
It's quite wonderful seeing creations done like this. And, well, I mean, it relies on the workroom really making them come to life, and then the director having them perform. I mean, it's a whole collective thing. But have a close look at how beautiful. Look, the feathers are pieces of net with other bits of net. I mean, it's so clever, the way it's been done. And putting my drawings to life and having them really to be able to entice an audience or charm an audience.
Wow, incredible detail. Seattle's Opera of Magic Flute opens May 6th and runs through May 21st. For ticket information, check out our website, SeattleRefined.com. On stage right now is Through the Looking Glass, the burlesque Alice in Wonderland show. It's in the 9th season, if you can believe that, at Seattle's Triple Door. It runs now through Sunday. There's still more refined ahead. Remember the Jetsons, the Flintstones, even the Smurfs? Next, we're sitting down with the man behind all of that animation. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Seattle Refined. You know, we all have memories of getting up early Saturday morning to turn on the cartoons, and I have to admit I have several favorites. So when I heard longtime animator Ron Campbell was coming to the Gunnar Nordstrom Gallery in Bellevue, I had to meet the guy, and guess what? He joins us now, and you've been involved for 50 years putting together cartoons and animation. That's pretty fun, isn't it? And you're still going strong.
50 years,
Half
what's
a
with
century.
that? Half a century, yes. Indeed I have, and it is a long lifetime, okay?
Yeah, and you were part of the Yellow Submarine with the Beatles.
Sure.
First of all,
sure.
talk a little bit about that, and then I have to ask you the big question right after that. So this is, let's take a look at some of this video of the animation, and here's some of it right here. And you did all this.
Well, I was one of the people doing it. On that particular show, I was the director. On that particular show, I was an animator. On others, I was a writer or a storyboard for a long period of time. So, yeah, I did a lot of things in the animation business.
Now, when you talk Beatles, everybody wants to know, have you ever talked to them? Have you ever met them?
Alas, no. I was always on the other side of the world. I was in Australia doing my Beatles TV cartoon show, and they were in London. And then I was in Hollywood doing animation on the Yellow Submarine, and they were in India.
So you guys never crossed paths?
Never, 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 never. Indeed, they had very little to do with the making of any of the Beatles films, the animated Beatles films. And the fact is, though, is that they gave us the most important part.
Yeah.
The music.
Right, the music.
Yeah.
But the Yellow Submarine, I mean, that's a classic which you helped put together. Let me ask you this. One of my favorite all-time cartoons has to be the Jetsons. And what's weird about the Jetsons, that was over 50 years ago, half a century. It's almost like whoever was doing that looked into the future because it could almost play like today, don't you think?
Well, yeah, they saw the Seattle, what do you call that Seattle thing that goes up into the space? And,
the Space Needle?
The Space Needle, yeah, that was the home of the Jetsons, wasn't it?
Right, I remember. And then, I mean, just like Rosie, the robotic maid, I mean, we kind of have that right now.
Every time I do a Jetsons drawing for somebody, they always want, I do a certificate of authenticity for a buyer of a painting, and I do a drawing on the certificate for them. They always want Rosie.
Yeah.
Rosie is a very, very, very popular concept.
Hey, real quick, anybody who's going to get into animation, can you give them a couple of tips if they want to do, what should they do? We have about 30 seconds.
Sure. Well, first you have to go where animation is being produced, then you have to knock on the door, then you have to demand that they give you a job. And when they say no, you go away, and then you come back the next day and knock on the door again, and demand that they give you a job. That's what you have to do. You cannot be tentative about it. You just have to know you've got to get into it. And if you really want to get into it, you'll get into it.
All right. Thank you so much for being on our show. I know you're a busy guy, and we only had a couple of minutes with you, but keep on drawing, all right?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you. All right. That's going to do it for today's show. Have a great Friday and a weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.